Brought to you by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
We're going to play a fun game for you involving property. We are playing Real Estate Reality Check with my dear friends Liz and Gina from RE/MAX Diamond Realty. Technically, Gina and Liz. You guys keep switching chairs on me so often and everything.
We like to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, the only constant is change, but you know, it's
right.
Nice to see that you do that. Okay, so Gina, set us off. We're playing Reality Check right now. What are some of the ways that the reality market can very often, you know, slap buyers and sellers upside the head and say, hey, this is what's going on?
Our concern today is really on the buyer's side. We get calls at least a couple of times a week. People telling us, you know, we're ready to look at real estate. What do we need to do to get started? And I know we've talked about this subject before. The thing is, real estate is ever changing. The requirements are ever changing. And right now, the market is changing so quickly. I know last year we kept saying, you know, the market's going up. Well, it's up. And it seems to be going up like on a daily basis. It feels like there's so much activity. And so what we want to point out to buyers who call and say, hey, we've decided to buy. What do we need to do to get started? The reality check that we have for people is it doesn't really work that way. It's such a big long-term commitment that you really have to set yourself up. You can't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to go out there and buy real estate. Number one, your credit score is so darn important. So if you're not like keeping track of that, I don't mean check it on a daily basis, but you know if you're paying your bills on time.
Be familiar with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you've gone over 30 days on any type of bill payment that is reported, like any type of credit card, big or small, it doesn't even matter. Any type of payment, if you've gone beyond 30 days, that's a bad sign, and that's going to show up. Even if you don't tell your lender, it will show up, because a credit check for a mortgage is so different from a credit check for any other item. And so it'll come up. So prepare yourself, keep track of your credit score. That's a very important thing.
Well, and Liz, you've told us many, many times on this very program that unless your name is Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, real estate is not an impulse buy. You know, this is something that, like Gina just said, you have to prepare yourself for, and you have to make yourself aware of what market changes are going on.
That's right. So there's two sides of the reality check. One is preparing, getting everything in order. The market has shifted. The inventory is slim. We get calls, oh, I've been pre-qualified, so they're jumping up and down because they've been pre-qualified. Well, it's great you've been pre-qualified, but the problem we're finding now is that pre-qualified amount, what is it going to buy? So the reality check is, what is it going to buy you? The expectation we're finding with buyers is, oh, great, I get to buy me a home, and they're looking at a nice size of a square footage. They're looking at their buying power could buy them something they'd be happy with. But when we start to look through the inventory, reality is slim pickings, and what their approved amount could buy them is a fixer-upper sometimes. If it's a bigger amount, we've been asking, as Gina and I had this discussion, we've been telling contractors to build within, you know, a certain price range, because this is where the demand is. So now, even if you've been pre-qualified at 200 or 250,000, trying to find that right home, you could be buying an older home, and it would require a lot of work for it to be approved by the bank.
Now, here's something I'm wondering about, Gina, because, you know, with the nature of any market, you know, it's cyclical, the bubble's going to burst, you ebb and flow, whatever device you want to use to track the fact that things will change over time.
It does.
If I start my paperwork and I start getting in the mindset and get pre-qualified now, what if the market tanks tomorrow? Am I still going to have that money at the current rate and with the current interest rate? And if all of a sudden the market goes, you know, southward?
No, so the market could go up, it could go down.
Yeah,
that's the way the market works.
You were saying it keeps going up and up and up and up. At some point, that's going to stop.
Well, yes, it will. And people have asked me that, you know, and this is a guess. My guess is just as good as yours, but I'm looking at what's going on in the market overall. There are market predictions out there, market indicators that will tell you if the market is going to continue to go up. And one of the strong indicators is, do we strongly believe that this military buildup is going to continue? The answer is yes, we do. You're not reading about it in the news as you were before, but there's a reason for that. It's just all the talk caused the market to go up so drastically. So I think for the most part, the people that are in control are trying to control all the talk. There's not so much talk about it because it just made our market go crazy. But I can tell you, with what's going on in Korea and with what's going on around the world, and with our current president who supports the military buildup, for the military buildup in Guam, it's almost a guarantee at this point. The contracts were signed, it's in motion.
Yep.
Some of the awards have been in place. So that's why we're telling people, yes, the market could tank, but we don't see that happening. My prediction is I don't see that happening for another 5 to 10 years, because I don't think the buildup will be complete until that amount of time. So if it's going to continue to go up, and if the cost of doing everything is going up, then the cost of real estate will continue to go up. And unlike some places, Guam is a very small community, believe it or not. And someone told me the other day, but there's so much land out there that's not developed. Yeah, you're right. But that only means the price for that land will be very expensive once it gets on the market, because the demand will continue. So one of the things is I talked about, keeping track about your credit score, because that is the thing the bankers are looking at.
And that's what you can control.
Yeah,
we cannot control the market. You can control how you pay bills. Nobody else can
control that. That's right. Liz talked about getting pre-qualified. So that's the next most critical thing. Here's another reality check. Yes, you can get 100% financing, but not everyone is able to qualify for those two types. There are only two types of loans that give you that. Not everyone qualifies for that. And even if you do, you still have to pay closing cost. And in an uprising market, sellers are they're not wanting to contribute to your closing costs anymore because they don't need to. If you need closing costs and the next buyer doesn't, they're going to take that buyer because the demand is going up. So there's more buyers for them to choose from.
Well, once again, we have just proven, go see the experts, because the two of you have way more information and way more expertise in this topic. So Professors Gina and Liz, we thank you so much. And we will be right back with This Week in Economics when we return.